So before you roll out your revamped website, you want to build a seamless migration plan. Your plan should consider the timing. When is your downtime for your website? Is it at night, during the weekends, in the early morning? Ideally, you should do the migration in the lowest traffic period. Now remember that if you have international clients, your downtime may actually be their peak time. Also consider internal education. What this means is you should make sure to plan time to preview your site with the frontline staff and to train them on how to operate your new website. You do not want them struggling on a client call trying to figure out how the new page works for registration or the new link to your support site. And consider a plan B. What will be the process if things don't work after migration? Obviously, you want to look at the launch timing in terms of realizing that it's obviously not ideal to plan a big promotion just at the same time as you launch your new website. Give yourself some buffer time to ensure that things are working well before you drop that new ad campaign or push out an email blast. URL redirects. So you'll be surprised how many links exist today to pages on your site that you don't even know about. Get your analytics report to identify the top inbound pages, start with the top few hundred, and set up a redirect plan. What this means is that if a URL that was popular will no longer exist in the new website, you need to make sure that anyone going to the old URL will be redirected to a new one with the appropriate content. You want to make sure that you catch as many redirects as possible and that the ones that actually do fail do so gracefully and not with just a generic 404 error. Search indexing. Regardless of how well you prepare, you will see a change in your keyword ranking and your search placement with a website revamp. Initially, this may result in poor performance as your site gets re-indexed and referral links are fixed. This could actually result in better performance for your website. The next step is to evaluate, measure, and improve. Once you've launched your website, it is not the end of your project. So we have some tips here in this section as well. Tip 18. Before you set up your tools for measuring success and evaluating your site, you want to define what you will measure. So be sure to include the success metrics established at the beginning of the project and look at other new metrics that could help you pinpoint problem areas and monitor your site performance. For example, you want to look at your bounce rates, your entry and exit path, your referring search terms, and the sites that refer traffic to you. Decide how frequently you will monitor the statistics and who on your team should review these reports. Get various stakeholders to request reports that are specific to their job role. Now, set up the tools that will allow you to measure your site. Use software to monitor your site's performance and pinpoint problem areas. So you may wonder how to choose a measurement tool. There are two types of tools. Certain tools analyze your website's logs. This means that it's the responsibility of your IT department to make sure that the log files are being correctly stored. You then need to install a software on each of the user's local machines, and it will tap into those logs and analyze them. The advantage here is that this tool gives you a greater level of detail and the ability to analyze popular files as well, such as PDFs if you have a lot of those, or media files. The disadvantage of log files is that you have to store these log files, and over long periods of time, this means more and more disk space is required, and this could prove costly to your organization. Other tools that don't use log files actually send out a beacon to gather information every time someone visits a page. This is done by what is known as page tagging, meaning adding a little bit of code on every single page of your website. The advantage is that it's up to the provider to ensure that the tool works, and in the case of Google Analytics, for example, they have a very good uptime. However, there are limitations to what these tools can track. For example, documents, PDFs, media files cannot be tracked. Once you set up your chosen tool, consider creating custom reports and even have them delivered at regular intervals. As I mentioned, reports for different people. And our final tip today. Once the site is up and running, you want to plan for regular improvements and modifications. Assign one person, or preferably a small team, again composed of various stakeholders, to keep an eye on the site and identify new user stories. When your audience is exposed to the new site, it's possible that they may have different needs and requirements than what was initially suggested. Keep an eye on these and create new stories as needed. It is also possible that not every user story was addressed with the initial delivery, so make sure you revisit your story list and prioritize the next batch of stories that will be addressed. Remember to group your stories into defined and measurable milestones. In order not to lose the momentum, it might be worth planning the next iteration as soon as your site is launched. Look at your list of stories, find the ones with the highest business value, and put them together in an iteration. So this is the end of my 20 tips, and next I wanted to quickly tell you a little bit about Integration New Media. So INM was founded in 1989, which is over 20 years ago, and we have a core team of about 25 members, which I honestly think is a really good sized team because it allows for a mix of developers, project managers, we have designers, we even have user experience experts, we have marketing and communication staff. And we offer different products and services for software development, web development, and e-publishing and mobile. We have a variety of clients from different industries. We deal with many publishers such as Taunton Press and Prima Games. We also work with a lot of clients in the healthcare industry. And we also have many clients in the utilities industry such as Hydro-Quebec and Videotron, which is a Canadian cable company. So INM also offers a variety of different products and services. We have offerings that range from an $18 a month subscription for our Reach Docs product, which this product is ideal for bringing your magazines, newsletters, catalogs, and brochures online and to make them interactive. And then we go all the way through to custom development enterprise software applications that are more into the six-figure range. So quite a variety of products and services there. In broad categories, we have a suite of e-publishing products, one for bringing single PDF documents online, and one for creating interactive electronic libraries of documents. We also offer website development services, obviously, and have a team of in-house specialists for user experience design, development, and project management and testing. We build applications also for mobile devices, and we can adapt current applications to make them multi-platform. And finally, we can develop very specific custom applications for organizations. At the heart of every project, we deliver on three fronts. We meet the business objectives of your organization, we follow sound engineering processes, and we create highly usable and intuitive products with an emphasis on user experience. So specifically looking at the website redesign packages that we have specialized end-to-end packages offering everything for an organization, everything that they need to revamp their website and create engaging, effective web presence for their visitors and members. The packages are geared towards marketing and communication staff, meaning staff that are not necessarily have a large amount of technical knowledge. And our packages come in two flavors. They come as a starter package or a premium package. And obviously, if anybody would like some information about this, I'll be happy to discuss it. And finally, I wanted to give you a few options in terms of next steps. So I'm sure Andrea has mentioned this already. We are recording this webinar, and we will share the recording with you, and obviously feel free to share it with your own colleagues. We have also other webinars that we've previously recorded in the past, so all you need to do is go to our website, inm.com, and look at the resources sections, and you will find the webinars under events. And of course, if anybody is interested, feel free to ask to book me on a one-on-one consultation basis, and I'd be happy to discuss more details about this. So I wanted to thank everybody for attending. This is the end of the presentation, and I will hand over back to Andrea.
Great, Nadine. Thank you so much. We do have a couple questions that have come in during the presentation. So I have one that I wanted to start with. The question is from Manny. He's asked, how long will a redesign effort take? His specific comments or his specific situation is his site is very large and complex with lots of database-driven elements, and they're working with an in-house team. They have one designer and two programmers. And he also noted that most of their content, or most of their site, sorry, is based on Lotus Notes. So just as a general rule to answer what Manny's asking, how much time should their team potentially allocate for that?
Excellent. So this is a really nice question because it gives a very specific details on one person's situation, which is always helpful. Obviously, with very little information, it's hard for me to give you very specific details. Now, yes, it seems to be like there's a few complex elements in terms of integrating with different databases. So that obviously adds a challenge and length to the project, sorry. And then I'm seeing the size of your design team, one designer, two programmers. I think that the good thing about this is that you have two programmers working together. It's always better than having just one person doing the whole project. Obviously, maybe the more people on the team, the shorter the project. It is very hard for me to estimate an actual time on this, but I would definitely say that with a lot of integration like this, it's not as much a project in terms of weeks, it's probably more a project in terms of a few months. But again, it depends on the project methodology, and one of the things I really recommend is that you identify individual elements that maybe you can launch individually. That means don't wait for everything to go out at one time. If there are things you can launch in iterations, I would definitely suggest that you do that, and it makes stakeholders feel like the process is less cryptic and more controlled and less lengthy. So I appreciate the question. It is a bit harder for me to put a specific time on that, though, I would say. Is there any other questions?
Certainly, the big question I think a lot of people are asking is around timeline. There's another question we've had as well, which is, how long do I budget for that planning stage? Because there is a lot involved in the planning stage based on your slides. That's the bulk of where you present it. So with that process, if I wanted to install and look at stats, how long should I allocate for that? Is really what we've got as a question here.
That's a really good question, and I think that, well, at least I'm happy if the point was came across the fact that the planning stage is actually a really important part of it. And planning, I mean the assessing and the planning. So it's very hard, again, to give a specific timeline, but what I would say is it could be looked at as a percentage of the total length of your project. So I would recommend that the planning stage really be somewhere between 35 to even 45-50% of the timeline should be spent at during the planning stage. That is my recommendation. Is there anything else?
Manny just had a follow-on question based on the response that you had, which was, he appreciated the advice, and his question was, so releasing the site a little bit at a time is best. So I was just starting to type an answer, but I think that you probably addressed that better than I could.
Well, speaking is probably a little faster than typing for sure. I would say so. And again, Manny, obviously I would need to, discuss this with you in terms of really looking at the specifics of your project. But if there is a way to individualize components of your website, then really launching them individually would be beneficial. And I would say one important factor here is that make sure that you've set up the expectations of your stakeholders as that is what is going to be happening. If there are some companies that prefer being kept in the dark all the way and then just one massive launch, I find it rarer and rarer, to be honest. Like, I find that stakeholders more and more appreciate seeing a little bit first that works well, that they can work with, that they can test, that they can give feedback on, while you are working on the next components. So if they can be well separated and individualized, yes, I definitely recommend that.
Perfect. That's great. That's all the scheduled questions we had so far. Certainly, you let everybody know. I did mention, but we are recording this, so we will send that out. And we'll also let you know if we have any future sessions or future follow-up items that are around the same topic, so that you can follow along with us.
So, well, I really appreciate all the amazing turnout and some really, really good questions, so I'm glad we had that. And I wanted to thank everybody for attending. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Nadine. So that's going to be the end of our session for today. Thank you all for coming.